When Jack and Mindy wanted a baby of their own, they tried for several months, but it didn't happen. They decided to go to the doctor for a checkup. To their surprise, the doctor told them he would strongly recommend them not to get a baby. Before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Mindy is 45 years old and he strongly doubts if she's capable of carrying a child. Jack and Mindy had been thinking about the advice of the doctor for a long time. They knew that he had a point, but they still could not get the thought out of their mind. They wanted nothing more than to have a child of their own. Adoption had always been in the back of their minds, but they could just not get excited for that option. And so they knew they had to take drastic measures. Seeing as the doctor, and most likely the entire official medical field, did not want to help them induce a pregnancy, they were left with very few options. They could keep trying and just hope that one day they would be successful. An option that seemed the easiest but also had a very low chance of success, as they had already attempted this for a long time. And so the couple knew that they would most likely have to seek out some alternative ways of getting help with getting pregnant. And so they spend a lot of evenings searching for possibilities online. After a lot of back and forwards and weighing out the risks, they finally settled on an option. They had found some ads online of a woman who claimed to be a retired doctor. She had set out a goal of helping couples fulfill their biggest dream to get pregnant in any circumstance. And so they quickly made an appointment with the very busy Dr. Melinda. They were going to meet with her for a first appointment in a week, and from there they could get the process started. And everything went very smoothly from their first appointment with Dr. Melinda. She gave them both a checkup, and even though Mindy was indeed suffering from standard pregnancy chances due to her age, she could still be easily made pregnant with her special procedure. Dr. Melinda basically described it as a fairly standard insemination procedure, but she had some of her own non-conventional methods, which apparently made her have a much higher success rate than normal. She needed a week to prepare, and when Mindy finally found herself in the chair, the process was over in a matter of minutes. Jack and Mindy were overjoyed when they saw the first positive pregnancy test. They told the doctor nothing about Dr. Melinda's involvement and just claimed that they had finally gotten lucky. The doctor was still hesitant about Mindy carrying a baby to term, but when the couple made it clear that abortion was not an option, he was, of course, very willing to help. To ensure the baby's health, regular checkups were necessary. The pregnancy was progressing well, and even the doctor, initially reluctant to help them conceive, apologized for his earlier doubts. However, the toll on Mindy's body soon became evident. She tried to hide her struggles, but her worsening condition made it impossible to keep the truth from the doctor. He suggested terminating the pregnancy for her safety. Jack, although conflicted, began considering it, but Mindy refused, determined to bring their baby into the world. The decision came with sacrifices. Mindy spent the last 2 months of her pregnancy in the hospital under constant monitoring. The mounting medical bills forced Jack to take a second mortgage. It was a heavy financial burden, but Jack saw it as an investment in their family's future. As the due date neared, anticipation filled their home. The nursery was ready, a symbol of their hope and resilience. Finally, the moment arrived. After hours of labor, the doctors opted for a C-section. Mindy's condition remained fragile in the days following the delivery. Recovery was slow, but signs of improvement began to show. Jack stayed by her side, encouraged by her growing strength. Eventually, the day came to leave the hospital. The family stepped into the world together, filled with hope and relief. They placed Noah in the nursery they had lovingly prepared, finally feeling complete. The first days at home were a whirlwind of learning. Mindy, still recovering, displayed resilience that Jack deeply admired. Sleepless nights were filled with feedings and diaper changes, leaving them exhausted but united. Each cry from Noah called them into action, and every small success, a proper feeding or a burp, felt like a triumph. As days blurred into nights, they sought balance, learning to juggle responsibilities while cherishing moments of pure bliss. Noah's tiny grip, his gentle coos, and the warmth he brought into their lives. However, financial strain loomed over them. Jack, overwhelmed by medical bills and daily expenses, proposed cutbacks, leading to tense discussions. Stress seeped into their relationship as they struggled to manage the weight of their growing debt. Jack juggled work and fatherhood, rushing from meetings to diaper changes while battling exhaustion. Amid the joy and challenges of parenthood, Jack began noticing subtle differences in Noah. His smile and features didn't seem to match either parent. Dismissing these concerns as lack of sleep, Jack sought reassurance from friends and family, but their dismissals only deepened his unease. Internally, Jack wrestled with guilt and confusion, his love for Noah unwavering but overshadowed by growing doubts. Unable to ignore his instincts, Jack turned to the internet, diving into genetics and inheritance. He spent sleepless nights comparing features, reading forums, and watching videos, driven by a growing suspicion. What began as curiosity spiraled into obsession. The more he uncovered, the more unsettling the picture became, fueling an internal storm he kept hidden from Mindy. In his relentless search, Jack stumbled upon a forum discussing genetic anomalies. As he read through the stories, a chilling pattern began to emerge. There were others, just like him, with doubts and fears. Each story was a piece of the puzzle he was desperately trying to solve. And with each one, his suspicions grew stronger. With each passing day, Jack's research drew him closer to a conclusion he dreaded. The similarities between the stories he read and his own experience were uncanny. It was no longer just about subtle differences. It was about undeniable truths hiding in plain sight. He was close to understanding, and yet a part of him feared what that understanding would bring. It was in the quiet hours of the night that Jack's search led him to a breakthrough. A particular article clicked into place, and suddenly it all made sense. The weight of the realization hit him like a wave. His worst fears were confirmed, not by suspicion or doubt, but by cold, hard facts. In that moment, his world changed forever. In the digital maze of Dr. Melinda's Facebook group, Jack found a disturbing pattern. Posts and comments from other parents revealed eerily similar stories to his own. Photos of children so different from their parents stared back at him, each one sending a shiver down his spine. These were not just coincidences. They were clues pointing to a hidden truth. Every new post Jack read in the group only deepened his unease. Discrepancies between parents and their children became impossible to ignore. Comments of confusion and subtle distress echoed his own fears. Each story added another layer of suspicion to the growing pile. The weight of what he had discovered fueled a resolve within Jack. He couldn't sit back and let his doubts fester. He needed answers. It was time to move from observer to investigator. With a determined breath, Jack began plotting his course of action. The truth was out there, and he was going to find it, no matter the cost. Jack started meticulously collecting information. He took screenshots, made notes, and reached out to others in the group. Every piece of data was a potential key to unlocking the mystery. Conversations with other parents, research into Dr. Melinda's background, and medical records became his arsenal. He was building his case piece by piece, readying himself for the confrontation ahead. With evidence in hand, Jack prepared himself mentally and emotionally for what was to come. He knew that confronting the reality of Noah's birth would change everything. It was a daunting prospect, but Jack was determined to face it head-on. He braced himself for the confrontation, knowing that the truth was going to shake the very foundations of his world. Under a veil of secrecy, Jack arranged for DNA tests for himself, Mindy, and Noah. His heart pounded as he collected the samples, each swab a step closer to the truth he feared. It was done quietly without alarming Mindy, for he knew the results could shatter the fragile peace they'd clung to since Noah's birth. When the results finally arrived, Jack's hands trembled as he opened the envelope. The numbers and scientific jargon boiled down to a simple, horrifying truth. Noah was not his biological child. The revelation hit like a physical blow, leaving him reeling. The doubts that had haunted him were now confirmed, the foundation of his world shaken. Jack grappled with a maelstrom of emotions. Betrayal, anger, and an overwhelming sadness washed over him in waves. He looked at Noah, his son in every way but genetically, and his heart ached. How could he reconcile this love with the lies that had been woven around his birth? The struggle consumed him, a turmoil that defied understanding. In the midst of his emotional storm, Jack's resolve hardened. He couldn't let this deception go unchallenged. He planned to confront Dr. Melinda, to demand answers and hold her accountable. It was more than just a personal quest. It was a fight for justice for Noah and for every family who might have been victimized by her unethical practices. With a storm brewing in his heart, Jack confronted Dr. Melinda in her office. His voice was firm, his evidence undeniable. He demanded explanations for the discrepancies, for the pain inflicted. Dr. Melinda, once a beacon of hope, now sat across from him, the architect of his family's turmoil. Dr. Melinda's eyes didn't waver as she revealed the staggering truth. Her methods, unorthodox and unethical, were designed to ensure successful pregnancies, using genetic material from unrelated donors. The revelation sent shockwaves through Jack. The foundation of their family, the very essence of Noah's identity, was built on a lie, one that had been carefully orchestrated and concealed. As Dr. Melinda's confession hung in the air, Jack felt a torrent of emotions crashing down upon him. Anger, betrayal, and disbelief fought for dominance. He had trusted her and believed in her promise of a miracle. Now that trust was shattered, replaced by a deep sense of violation. The woman before him was a stranger, her actions a devastating blow to his family's integrity. With a heavy heart, Jack returned home to share the devastating news with Mindy. The conversation was one of the hardest they'd ever had, filled with tears, questions, and raw emotion. Mindy's shock mirrored his own, her pain evident in every word. Together, they navigated through the waves of disbelief, trying to make sense of the unimaginable betrayal they'd endured. In the days that followed, Jack and Mindy faced the harsh reality of their situation. The deception, the lies, the ethical violations, all of it was overwhelming. Yet, in the midst of the storm, they found a beacon of light, their love for Noah. Despite the circumstances of his birth, their son was theirs in every way that mattered. Together, they chose love over bitterness, embracing Noah as their own.